I don't think a lot of us realize that we also have it, so here are 5 signs of internalized misogyny in women.
Hey, what's up? How are you all doing? So today we'll be looking at internalized misogyny amongst us women. I know some of you might not know you have it, but a lot of us do have it. In fact, all women have it. Okay, most women have it too, right? Even I, who has been a girl before a girl's girl became a thing, I have somewhat of internalized misogyny, which I'm recognizing. Maybe not much, but I am very intentional about recognizing them to work on them. So I'll be back with my commentary. But sit down, relax, watch this video, drop your comments below, make sure you keep it respectful, like, share. And if you haven't subscribed, what is keeping you waiting? Hit the subscription button and also hit the bell so that you will get updates every time I post. Let's go in.
I don't think a lot of us realize that we also have it, so here are 5 signs of internalized misogyny in women. 1. You shame other women for how they choose to dress or express their body in any way. 2. You experience threat and competition with other women. 3. You constantly diet to uphold the patriarchal standard of female beauty. 4. You feel the need to be constantly pleasant, accommodating, and compliant. And 5. You declared, "I'm not a feminist," so that people don't judge you and put you in the box of the crazy, angry woman. And there are so many more that I could put on the list, but I'm curious to hear what you would add.
Welcome back. This is part 4, sexist things that we've normalized we should talk about. Today is internalized misogyny. There's a lot to deconstruct with this, so today I'm just going to talk about what it is and how it manifests. So internalized misogyny is basically when a woman holds resentment and misogynistic views towards other women or towards themselves as a woman. While I talk about this, it's important to remember men are not the only ones that were taught to hate women. Women were taught to hate ourselves too. And we were also taught to hate other women and see them as constant threats. An example of how this manifests is when maybe you see a woman who isn't getting along with another woman in the workplace, and there's no reason why they're not. This could be because as women, we see other women who are trying to gain the same goal as us as a threat because we're taught that only one of us can exist. Think of Devil Wears Prada. Think of Sharpay and Gabriella. We've been trained to be pinned against each other.
This is the prime example of how deeply ingrained misogyny and patriarchal beliefs and structures are within our society. Despite being brought up in a very progressive left family that from a young age taught me about societal inequalities and injustices, I still had internalized misogyny that I had to actively work to unpack and unlearn. And it's crazy to me when I reflect back on my childhood and how far back I can pinpoint examples of those internalized misogynistic beliefs in childhood, that despite being so young and coming from a family that really enforced and embedded their beliefs and values and teachings into me and my life, outside societal influences had such an impact because as a child we're so impressionable. There are a few examples that really stand out to me, but the one that is the most scary happened when I was in primary school. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was around maybe 7-8 years old. My dad was at work and my mum was at home with me and my sisters, and she was having a bath. We never used to lock doors in our house, and thank God we didn't, because I was in the living room and I suddenly heard this crash and this bang, and I ran into the bathroom where my mum was and where that sound had come from, and the glass shower curtain, I think that's what you called it, the kind of the glass shield that is in the bath, had collapsed over her as she led in the bath, and it had knocked her out. It had cut her, obviously, because the glass had shattered all around her. It looked really scary because the water had all turned red from the blood and she was unconscious. And the first thought that came to my head was, I can't call an ambulance because it might be a man that arrives and he's going to see my mum naked. I'd obviously attached so much shame to the female body that I was more concerned with the prospect of someone seeing my mum naked than I was of her health and her safety. So rather than calling 999, I ran down the road to one of our neighbours who was also a family friend that I knew was a nurse and got her to come to the house instead. Luckily my mum was absolutely fine. However, what's really scary to me is the fact that despite my mum and my family never teaching us to feel shame or embarrassment around our bodies, outside influences had obviously influenced me so much. I mean, even earlier than that, I remember feeling really embarrassed and ashamed when my mum used to breastfeed my sisters in public and I was there. Breastfeeding is the most natural thing in the world. It's the entire purpose of breasts. Yet the sexualization of breasts within society had clearly influenced me. Similarly, I remember feeling really disgusted when I would see women at the swimming pool or at the beach with really obvious overgrown pubic hair. Again, something that's completely natural and normal. Over the years, I've worked really hard to unpack and unlearn the internalized misogyny that I've recognised in myself, and sometimes it does still creep up, and I have to be really conscious of that and challenge myself when that happens. Society inundates us with misogynistic pictures and videos and TV shows and messages, and we absorb it. Children particularly, who don't have the critical thinking skills to challenge this, but adults too. The belief that we're women so we can't be misogynistic is the thing that is going to hold women back. The older that I've got, the more that I've realised that there are lots of women, in my experience, particularly older women, boomers, that have core beliefs and values that are intrinsically patriarchal and misogynistic. Of course, it's not all, and this is only my experience, but definitely what I've seen is they're less open to unpacking and unlearning those beliefs. Some of the worst misogyny that I've experienced has come from women, and I am fully aware that that is a result, in part at least, of living within a patriarchal society. However, that does not absolve us of our responsibility to unlearn that. I really try to show grace because not everyone has had the same education, and this is so ingrained culturally and socially. However, unless we are willing to really address the role that women play in oppressing other women, the oppression of women, women are going to perpetually be oppressed. It's certainly not nice or comfortable to admit, and the work isn't easy. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that we have to consciously commit to, but it is so important that we do. Because we can be the most progressive, educated person in the world, or have had that upbringing like I did, and we can still fall guilty of it.
Just because, yeah. When it comes to body shaming, I think a lot of us is also part of internalized misogyny that some of us don't realize. Even I, personally, when it comes to body shape and all. But before I go into that, she mentioned something that I wanted to touch on. Two things can be true at the time, right? When her mom fell down, blessed her soul, because if that door wasn't open, who knows, she probably would have lost her life, right? But she said something about her mind quickly going to protecting her mom's nudity and than saving her life. Sometimes when I heard that, and I felt like maybe there's also another subconscious part of her, and it's true, she's also right. It has to do with the shame, because because of she's the one thinking about it now. She was thinking about the shame process, but I feel like maybe another subconscious part of her knew that some men are predatory, and because of that, might take advantage of a naked, conscious woman. Even in hospital, there are news of doctors violating their sick female patients. So, not to get into that, but yeah. Back to my me figuring out my own form of internalized misogyny, which I handle with, as a young lady in Nigeria who grew up with an endowed body, I developed very fast. At the age of 9, my chest was really out, well developed, and my figure, my stature was out, right? And aside from some anti-shaming me and all, even when I got some unwanted attention, at the point I felt guilty, and I felt like maybe I'm responsible because I have all these things, right? And as a young girl, some predatory uncles, like, I'll call it the uncles, we are not related, but men who are older, right, attracted to a young girl like me, and I'm like, why are all this, now that I know, predators, but then I didn't know. Right, and I blame myself for being endowed. I wore baggy clothes to cover myself. So mothers especially, please be careful out there how you make your daughter feel about their body, because sometimes it might directly or indirectly affect their self-esteem, and might even push them further to the hands of those who take advantage of them.
The misconception that women can't get along because we don't like each other, we can't accomplish big things in life because there's jealousy and all that. Listen, women get along with each other way more than men get along with each other. The reason why men get along is because you guys bond over very superficial things. Who won the Lions game the other day? Who beat who in boxing? You guys don't actually get down to the core of issues, which is why there's a male loneliness epidemic in the world. There will never ever be a female loneliness epidemic. That's never going to happen, because we know how to come together. At the end of the day, behind every female beef, 9 times out of 10, there's a man somewhere in the midst, somewhere in the shadows lurking, And there's a sense of competition and jealousy. The only reason why women compete with each other and there's just this jealousy is amongst some women is because of internalized misogyny. Patriarchy made women feel like they had to compete for a man. There are a lot of women that are still stuck in that mindset. So when you think about women who can't get along with each other, I don't like other women, I can't stand being around this type of woman, blah, blah. They're usually very jealous-hearted. They're in competition. And there are some men in the midst. I can assure you. Also, women who I've met who are absolutely atrocious, because every woman is not good. I know this. Even the women who are atrocious human beings, even those women have good in them, and they're able to get along with other women if they were to deprogram their internalized misogyny. Okay? That is what this is. Okay? They've been abused. They have been sexually abused, mentally, verbally abused. They grew up around people with a victim mentality, piss poor mentality. Oh, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Oh, if I take one step forward, I get knocked back 3 steps. They're always in this, like, woe is me mentality. And when you grow up in that mentality and you don't evolve from that, yes, you are going to get out into the world and you're just going to have this, like, really horrible mindset towards women and everybody else and everything. Women who basically have not unpacked their trauma. But generally speaking, if you put a group of strong-willed, strong-minded women in a group to accomplish something big, and there is no competition amongst none of those women, these women are not male-centered, and they're not jealous of one another, the results will be damn near perfect. I can assure you of that. Women naturally have it in us to be nurturing, to be smart, to care about one another. Like I said before, that's why there will never be a female loneliness epidemic. That's why that's never going to happen. But a male loneliness epidemic and the high self-deletion rates amongst men, that's why. Because you guys bond over superficial things. When women go through things, we band together. Even if there is a slight amount of jealousy or competition or whatever, we'll still come together at the end of the day, though. It just is what it is.
One thing that both pisses me off and makes me incredibly sad is when you have a friend that stays with the most rancid, horrible men, makes excuses for them, things of that nature. But you as their friend could do something mildly annoying, mildly irritating, and they won't say anything to you about it. They'll just pretend like everything is fine, but they'll harbor that resentment, and one day it'll get to a point where they just blow up in your face about it, or they cut you out. Because you're supposed to know, you're supposed to be telepathic, and you're supposed to be able to read their mind. By the way, side note, you are not responsible for reading other people's minds. If someone is mad at you and they're not saying anything to you about it, they're giving you the silent treatment, they're being mean to you, that says a lot more about their character than it does about you. If they're upset with you, it's on them to say something to you about it. It's on them to be an adult and to say, hey, what you said, did, whatever it might be, hurt my feelings, it made me feel fill in the blank, X way, can we talk about it? Because you can't apologize for something you didn't know that you did. Oh, and bonus points if you're their only friend. Chances are you're probably their only friend because they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to address problems, and they just don't have the backbone and the emotional maturity to say anything about it. So yeah.
This is part 2 from the TikTok that I did recently on women and self-promotion. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we women can do to encourage other women in this area. A lot of times I will talk about the patriarchy, I will talk about misogyny, I will talk about the behavior of some men. I really want to focus right now on we women. So there is a word for when women treat other women badly, and it's actually a phrase, it's called internalized misogyny. And I just learned about it not too long ago. And what internalized misogyny is, the best example I can give, we've all met that woman who says, oh, I'm a guy's girl, I don't really like other women at all, I don't have female friends, I'm all about men. And while that sounds like somebody's just explaining their preference, what they're actually doing is they're putting women down, and they're putting other women down to benefit themselves, whether they recognize it or not. Because the thought is, if I say I don't like other women, if I say I'm like men and I admire those traits more, men will like me more. Men will, if I'm in a corporate environment, they might promote me more. They might include me in more things. I get a better sense of belonging. So that's internalized misogyny. So there are so many ways in which this comes up over and over again. But one great example that I'll give you, I'm a member of several female networks, female communities, and I love these communities. They're all very special in different ways. And the other day I was looking through the community guidelines for one of these communities, and throughout it was littered with verbiage that talked about women not engaging in overly self-promotional behavior, which to me, frankly, really pissed me off. I was like, here we are, a bunch of powerful women coming together, and the community guidelines are based on not being overly self-promotional. What's considered overly self-promotional? Who decides? Obviously, it's quite subjective. So honestly, for me, when I looked at that, I spend all day in my coaching and advisory practice telling women to step up, take credit, amplify themselves. And here I have a women's community run by women, started by these brilliant women who are telling women not to be overly self-promotional, which is the same rap that we hear over and over again at work. So the thing that I would say to anyone who's running a community for women, and honestly just to women generally, is check your internalized misogyny. Is it showing? A lot of times we don't even know that it's showing, right? There have been times when I've treated women more harshly and I thought I was just making them tough. I wasn't. I was being a bitch. And I think that it's important for us to look inside, to do the deep work and the self-actualization and figure out, am I being a misogynist? Because it's not just for dudes. Women do it too.
If you're scared of living and dying alone, then you're most likely going to end up with a terrible man, with men who are like bottom level low. Because what that fear is going to take from you is, it's going to take from you the ability to live and to critically think and critically judge men. So instead of judging people for their character, you would rather be making excuses for their behaviors because you desire to marry at a particular time. Yeah, you want to, it's like something that is on your, every opportunity will instantly look like a good opportunity. So every proposal seems like God's blessing to you. You will not be gentle and kind to yourself. You will not be patient with yourself. You will not be loving yourself. You will not set healthy standards for yourself. You will instantly begin to demean yourself and start asking yourself questions. Okay, now I'm getting to 30. Who will marry me? I'm already 30. Who will marry me? And who will love me like this? I mean, you will love yourself like this. You're 30 and you are you. You're still with you, right? You've not broken up with yourself. So you will love you and I will love you, except I'm taking, of course. You will not let yourself vet the character of men before going out with them. You are most likely going to put yourself in danger, and you start making excuses for their unkindness and their rudeness and disrespect towards you. You will start making excuses for it, and before you know, you're already married to somebody who is after your life and destiny.
Controversial opinion. Talk money if he talks intimacy at any point in time during your date or relationship, and I'm going to get into why. First off, disclaimer, I don't give a rat's ass any longer about someone saying, well, that sounds like prostitution. Well, that's funny, because let's break down what society does to a woman when she gives it up out of love. It's odd that society tells you to not be materialistic, not do any of these things, right? And somehow you're supposed to fall in love with words and with men and their words. And when you do just that very thing, I don't care if it's 3 dates, I don't care if it's 3 months. Somehow, if he gets the goods and replaces you, leaves you, it becomes the woman's fault because, well, your standards were on the ground. So is it better to be used up, played, traumatized for absolutely free? Or do you get over your trauma faster because you can count up some money? I don't give a shit anymore what anyone says it is called. I would rather women now get money Because the reality is he's going to disrespect you either way. First and foremost, when a man looks at you and wants to date you, he wants to bang. I don't give a shit who you are as a man. You are not thinking, wow, look at that personality. Wow, look at the mother of my kids. Look at my lifelong partner. Please stop it. What he's doing is he's blatantly telling you how he wants to your body for absolutely free. Why would you sit there like a lady and let him talk that way to you? If you rolled out your list of standards and finances was on there, he's got an issue, along with society and quite a few pygmies. I would say your life is your own. You are in charge of your standards and your destiny. Stop giving a rat's ass about people telling you what it looks like and sounds like because you would rather something monetary. Here's the reality, and this is also something I want to get at that just really pisses me off. When a guy says, well, why should I buy you gifts and do anything for you? Why should I put money in your hand? You're not my wife yet. Funny enough, if you can't do it now, you're trying to get laid, you're never going to do it when you're in a relationship. In fact, you're going to throw it up in her face that you didn't have to do anything in order to get the goods in the first place. So why are you holding me to such a high standard now? You realize when you sleep with a man, you've already did the part of a wife. Where's the lie? Hold on, can I see it? There. Is the lie hiding out with the 0 fucks? I can't find it. Where's the lie in that? I find it disgraceful that a man can hint at what doesn't work for him and what a deal breaker is when he's on a date. Oh, I'm very affectionate. Oh, I love touch. My love language is lots and lots of intimacy like this. But if a woman says, well, great, you know what? Let me stop you right there. Well, let's just talk money. What are you planning on doing for me financially? And then it becomes a problem. Be a problem. Make it a problem and hint at what he thinks he expects to get. Why aren't you hinting at what you want? You're already being disrespected, so just cut the date and put that all out there on the table and tell him what you expect. Then they want to mention love. Well, that's funny. You're not interested in love. You're interested in using me. You're interested in disrespecting me. What do you mean what happened to love? Y'all unalived it. That's what happened to love. Y'all men unalived it. Now we're matching your energy. First of all, to be a woman and you not know that the moment a man looks at you and walks in your direction, he wants to bang you, something's wrong with you. And any man that tells you otherwise is a goddamn liar. He's a liar. So at any point in time when he mentions anything sensual, anything, he's hinting, he mentions something that leads towards mention money. Reality is he's trying to pay you in food, and I find that to be highly insulting. This is why I say all of the talking on the phone, this should be established. This is why if he waits to get you in person and say that, still, you already know to use a line like this, you're cutting the date. That's why you're going to use that line. You don't care. You're not planning on doing anything with him. Say it and then just exit stage left. If there's any confusion for anyone intimidated and scared to stand up when a man says something pertaining to going home and doing something, I don't care if it's 3 months. Honey, he can wait 3 months and get it and still dump you. Now you got trauma, you're pissed off, and you got empty pockets. Make him start practicing how to be a provider. This way, when you get the goods and you're like, well, it didn't work out, at least you got something to show for it. Anyway, that's the video. I don't care who I piss off. You already know that by now, and if you didn't, now you do.
Yeah, thank you for watching this video if you have gotten to this point. Now, ladies, you heard it all, okay? Some of you have internalized misogyny and you don't know. You might feel like, oh, I'm a woman. Girl, you asking me that already means you already have it without knowing, okay? And another thing I noticed with women with internalized misogyny, and I mean raging pick me, is that a lot of times when they see women who are out there trying to achieve better for themselves, who value themselves, like this woman says, put money on that box, right? They feel like, how dare you? How dare you? I mean, I probably have been giving it out for free. How dare you put a price? Like, how dare you want better? They want to shit on you. That's why most of those women who put a price tag, they're not vocal about it because the society frown about it, patriarchy frown about it, and a lot of women have been indoctrined not to want more, to want less, just to play a role, to be a wifey. And a lot of men use it just to take advantage of so many women, dangle the carrot, and that's it. So ladies, it's out there, okay? Just ask yourself those questions, and where you see your falling short, work on it. Nobody's perfect. As the day goes by, I'm learning new things and I'm bringing it here, okay? So till I see you in my next video, make sure you take care of yourself, guide your space, and don't forget to hit the subscription button and like, share, and drop your comments below. Have a great day. Bye.